everybody, Kenny B here. Going to talk to you about the final episode of Season 4, Walking Dead. Seems I was vindicated. That's right, Kenny B was completely correct about what Terminus really was. It's a cannibal buffet, and Rick and Team Prison are invited. Okay, it's kind of like I'm totally stoked about being right about this. It's really cool. But we'll get to that in a little bit. First, we're going to talk about another thing that really had me excited and worked up. Rick is back to being a badass. Yeah, that's right. You fuck with his boy, you're going to get your throat torn out. So, where we left off. Rick is, an opening scene is him just seeing her covered in blood, and you're like, holy shit, what the fuck happened? And they do there's going to be a bunch of flashback scenes explaining why he went from Rick the gunslinger to Rick the farmer. But that's not really important, because that's cool and all, they explain it, but still, what's more important is Rick's a badass again. So, we find out, they find a vehicle and they decide to go on a camp there for the night. Carl's sleeping in the vehicle. Michonne and Rick are just sitting there, chilling by the fire. All of a sudden, Daryl's new friends show up. The Claim Crew. I forget the guy's name. I think it was Jimbo or something like that. Puts the gun to Rick's head. Explains to him, hey, time for payback. Because you killed one of their guys. And in fact tried to kill them in the process by letting him come out as a walker. Daryl nobly stands up and intervenes. He shows up and, hey, take my life. Leave them alone. Problem is, this guy doesn't trust Daryl to begin with. Has this guy start beating the crap out of him. Meanwhile, pedo-pervy guy's oogling poor little bastard Carl. Gets him out of the vehicle and is getting ready to do things that are really inappropriate to do to children. And this guy's basically telling Rick that first they're going to kill Daryl, then they're going to kill Carl, then they're going to rape and kill Michonne before killing him. Rick finally has a moment of glory. He snaps. He headbutts the guy. Gets a little disoriented because the gunshot next to his head and all that. Then, grabs him. Guy's like, what are you going to do now? And Rick tore his fucking throat out with his teeth. That's badass. On top of that, after all that, Daryl kills his two goons. Michonne kills two as well. Leaves pedo-perv guy holding the kid, threatening him. Rick's like, I'm going to take care of this bitch. He stabs him in the gut and disembowels him, making that son of a bitch suffer like he deserved. When that happened, I was just ecstatic. I was like, go Rick! Go Rick! May have made a little too much noise, and the neighbors might get a little upset about that, but not too worried about that. I was just really fucking stoked and fucking... Oh, words can't describe how I was feeling about that scene. Then, they had a little talk. Michonne's trying to explain to Carl that her dad isn't really... Well, his dad isn't that bad of a person. He's just doing what he can to survive. He's not a monster. And she explains a little about how what made her have her pet she saw in original second season. So, that's explained to her. Well, she explains it to Carl. Explains to him that, hey, you're not a monster. Carl's worried about the fact he might be a monster, which, he's not a monster, he's just a little bastard. This is the part where I kind of got disappointed with the new Rick. I thought, hey, he finally figured it out. He knows what to do during the fucking zombie apocalypse. They're close to Terminus. So what they decide to do, they're going to sit there and eye up the camp. Now, for me, if I was going to a location like Terminus, I would scope it out for a minimum of a week. Reason being, I want to make sure this place is really what the hell it's supposed to be. So instead, they're just like looking over the fence, and they sneak in. Now, there's a little bit of foreshadowing before this, where I should have covered this first in the beginning, where Rick is talking to Carl about rabbit traps and how they work. Basically, Terminus is exactly that. All roads lead to Terminus. It's just like the rabbit snare. So, moving on, they take the guns and stuff they've taken from Team Claim, bury them. Semi-wise move, but still, personally, I would have, like I said, stayed there a little longer observing this place, figuring out what they're really up to. So they sneak in, they're sneaking around, and they see the woman talking on the radio about come to Terminus, salvation, yada, 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 yada. Well, then they're like, okay, not a problem. And the Terminus crew, I will give them credit. They know how to get people to get their guard down. Everybody comes in, they tell everybody to drop their weapons, let them search them. Then they give them their weapons back, so that lowers their guard. Then they go out for the barbecue. May have been barbecue Beth, that's what some people are saying, because, evidently the chick Mary, I think her name is, or whatever, was wearing a sweater kind of similar to Beth's. But we don't know for sure. But Rick starts to notice he sees a guy in riot armor, another guy with a backpack similar to Glenn's. Then he sees the watch. And that's like, boom. Dead giveaway. Because, once again, it's mentioned earlier, Herschel's talking about the watch that he gave to Glenn for the wedding to Maggie. So, now we got that little piece of the puzzle put together. Rick grabs one of the guys, I think his name was Carl, got a gun to his head, wants to know what the hell, where they got all this stuff. There's a sniper up on the roof. And that's when the guy's like, oh, well, they got that off a dead cop. Such and such off this. And when he says about the watch, that's when he realizes, okay, we know what's really going on here. At least we think we know what's going on. Then all hell breaks loose. Carl, whatever the hell the guy's name is, gets shot in the head by Rick. And they're being herded. And it's painfully obvious because as they're trying to run, the shots are going near them. Once again, going back to the whole rabbit trap. You funnel the rabbit into the location you want it to go, gets a rope around its neck, strangles itself to death. But that's pretty much what the Terminus crowd is doing to Rick's group. They're being herded. They run to this one big open warehouse type thing, and it's we first, never forget, and things of that nature. And there's just a bunch of little, looks almost like a shrine to people that have passed away. Now, are these the victims of the Terminus cannibals? We don't know. This could have been victims of something else, but that's to be determined. Here's where the whole proof of the cannibal thing comes up. This picture here. As you see, a bunch of human rib cages, bloodied, skin, no meat on them. And they're always having a barbecue at Terminus. Every time somebody shows up, there's a barbecue going, so. Once again, Kenny B said it first, 2 weeks before the actual show, that Terminus was a cannibal camp. So, once again, folks, this is why I should be on Talking Dead. They can ask me my opinions on things, and I pretty much shoot straight. Excuse me. So, as I said, now they're still being herded, and then they're pretty much surrounded at this point. They get up, there's people on the other side of the fence, and they're okay. Drop your weapons. It looked like Carl was going to bite it first, but he didn't. Carl was the last one to go in the train. When they get in the train, they see the rest of Team Prison that got the terminus first. Absent is Tyrese and Carol. Those two are missing. Plus, we still have Beth that's out from Team Prison's not there either. But the thing it brought me back, put me back in Team Prison's camp with Rick, was they don't know who they're messing with. Of course, it would have been nicer if he would have said the proper way of, they don't know who they're fucking with. But it's TV, you can't say fucking, so you gotta kind of watch the language. So, I know I made some predictions over on the Twitter account, and hopefully Chandler, I think his last name is Riggs, doesn't get offended by me saying that Carl is going to be Easter Veal for Camp Terminus, but it was all done fun. So, my predictions for next season, more than likely, Nerd Boy's probably going to get eaten. Well, actually, no, I think the Latina chick, she's dead. She's toast. Abraham will be next. And possibly Sasha or Rick. It's kind of hard to say. I gotta catch some more previews, and unfortunately, I gotta get my hands back on my comics. During a big move, I kind of misplaced them, so I gotta find them yet. But overall, I'm looking at Season 5. Walking Dead has disappointed me sometimes, but overall, just love it. Just glad that Rick the Badass is back. So, you got any questions or comments? Email me at KennyB, MallNinja@gmail.com. Follow my blog on WordPress, mallninjas.wordpress.com. Look for me on Facebook. I'm on there. You can add me as a friend or just follow my page for me. And now that The Walking Dead's over and I got a long-ass wait, the guys over at Warp TV are giving me a bunch of zombie movies to watch on Netflix. I'm going to start reviewing them. Got a backlog of questions I have to answer for letters to Kenny B. And hopefully in next month or so, we're going to be doing some more practical tips on how to survive the zombie apocalypse. A lot of stuff coming, folks.